Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your overly caffeinated host, Tony Cañas, and this episode truly is on fire because number one, I'm a huge fan of bringing on fairly early stage insurtechs, and number two, this insurtech partially exists because of this show. So it's a ridiculously awesome story. So today I have with me Maggie Buchanan, founder and CEO at Residence, and Martin, I'm pronouncing that in Spanish specifically, Panamanian blood, Martin Calhoun, co-founder and chief insurance officer at Residence. So first of all, thank you both for joining me today. How's it going?
Going great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And usually we break the ice over the weather, but today we have better stories than that. Okay, so Martin is here in Atlanta, same as me.
Yep.
Beautiful today, crappy yesterday and over the weekend, but beautiful today. And Maggie, you are in Connecticut. I'm gonna take a wild guess that Connecticut in mid-May is just beautiful.
It's gorgeous, and I'm right outside New York, so it's a great location.
Fantastic. Yeah, for insurance, this is an amazing location. Fantastic. Uh, so normally my transition is we always give the guest the chance to give the elevator pitch. But given that you guys are a fairly early stage and the ridiculously cool story of how residence insurance became a thing, let's start from that side. Yeah. So what is the origin story
I'll let Maggie
Residence?
start. Go ahead, Maggie.
All right. So by way of background, I used to work for a Fortune 500 insurance company, which is how I'm so familiar with the model. And then I went to graduate school at Duke, and I earned a Master's of Public Policy and an MBA. For my policy thesis, deciding that topic was right when COVID hit. And COVID hit, and the best so, everyone's losing their jobs and can't pay their rent and can't pay their mortgage. And the best solution the government had was just don't pay your rent, just don't pay your mortgage. Like that was the best they had. And when I first read that headline and that breaking news, I thought there has to be a better way of securing housing. And and I knew the insurance model well. So it took 30 seconds to come up with a concept and 2 minutes to realize it doesn't exist. So, by way of elevator pitch, Residence is based on a new insurance product called Residence Insurance. Residence Insurance, in the event of the most likely reasons you'll be foreclosed on or evicted in this country are from short-term crises such as getting laid off, getting fired, or incurring an unexpected medical expense. So under those claim qualifying conditions, we will pay your rent or mortgage directly to your landlord or lender, and you can keep your home. So we provide you housing security while providing landlords and lenders financial security. It's a hole in the insurance market. It does not exist. So continuing on the background, I wrote my thesis for the Masters of Public Policy on housing insecurity, proving how the government is failing to secure housing and how the nonprofit sector is as well, and how a for-profit solution, Residence, can do it better. And then I went on to get an MBA, and I concentrated in innovation and entrepreneurship to build my skill set. And we launched from there, I started building from there. I knew I needed an insurance powerhouse, to put it lightly, next to me to do this, to pull this off. So I was on a very heavy search, and I just happened to be listening to this podcast, Profiles in Risk. And I heard Martin being interviewed, and immediately this overwhelming feeling of like, this is my guy. This is my person. This is who I want on my team. So in the synopsis on the podcast, like had his LinkedIn. I cold messaged him on LinkedIn, and within 3 weeks he was on the team. So
So
that's
you're gonna make me cry. This is so amazing in so many ways. And I just learned this morning. I knew that you had met him. I knew that you had met him through the podcast. I had not realized that was one of the Meg McKean episodes. So a big shout out to Meg McKean for doing an amazing job. on that. Meg was only on a few episodes, helping us out when we were extremely busy. And I will include the show notes to that episode.
Okay.
And so amazing that you guys met that way. Like that is triple cool for me. The company Residence Insurance and the products that you're building. I love 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 seeing new insurance products that are responding to the realities of the life that we live in, right?
Right.
As opposed to in our industry, we have a lot of 100-year-old forms that have been patched and patched and patched and patched, and Verisk ISO and the other organizations that do policy language do a great job on this. But it is hard to innovate in this industry, and especially a brand new product. Out of the almost 700 episodes we've had on Profiles in Risk, I could probably count in one hand the ones that are truly new insurance products, right? So it comes to mind Parento, which is private parental leave insurance that you can buy for your employees. But the majority of the Insurtech world is either doing what we've always done, just doing it better, or creating tools to do a little piece of what we do better. It's rare that we get a brand new product that to face the market, much less a consumer product. And okay, housing insecurity. So I've been in the U.S. for 23 years, and before that I was in Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, where I'm from, small country, 3.5 million people when I was growing up, 5 million today. Basically teeny. Costa Rica is the size of West Virginia. We're talking like, I don't know, 30, 40 miles wide and like 80 miles from north to south. And we have both oceans. In Costa Rica, where I grew up, housing tends to be for very, very, very long periods of time. So to give you an idea, in my entire very large Catholic family, my mom moved from an apartment to her own home, which she then paid off and still lives in. But other than her two older sisters bought a home when they were in their 20s before I was born and retired in that home. Right? So it's like people just don't move often, and housing is not a commodity. Housing is 1,000% a house that you right, and whether you rent or buy it, if you eventually buy it, eventually you pay it off. But anyway, we don't have the housing problems that we have here in the States.
Okay.
So here in the States, with that what I've seen, I'm not an economist, but it does seem that from when I moved here in 2002 and then graduated college in 2006 to today, housing prices went insane. Right, we have not built. I've read a lot about how we have not built enough starter homes, and apartment rents have also gone insane. Right, so now I spend 90% of my time chatting with people in the insurance industry. This is an amazing career. Our people have good jobs. Many of them are homeowners. We are, and insurance is a recession-proof industry. So I am much less often talking with people who are having trouble with their housing. But out there, it's a huge deal. A huge,
It is.
huge deal, right? So yes, anything that the private market can do. I mean, I truly believe that we need social, like government solutions to a lot of these things, and we're moving in the wrong direction. And nonprofits help, but there's not nearly enough. So yes, anything the private market can do to ameliorate this problem is a huge win. So number one, for awesome that you're building this product, and I'd love to learn how it works, because
Sure.
the underwriter in me is going like, how do you underwrite this? So yes, how does it work?
Well, it's very simple. Like Maggie mentioned earlier, if a person loses their job involuntarily, they get laid off, and or they have a major medical situation where their out-of-pocket expense is more than their actual monthly expense for their housing. We will pay their rent or mortgage for up to 3 months. So the underwriting criteria is actually fairly simple. So we're not looking at credit. We're not looking at the traditional things that insurers would look at. We do look at prior claims, if they had a claim in this particular area, obviously. There are some buffers that we have as far as underwriting criteria, but the average person can really utilize our product and, more importantly, afford our product. So kind of a rough guesstimate of the price of the product, and that's probably what most people ask. Wow, sounds really great. How much does it cost, right? And to give you kind of a rough sketch on the premium, is roughly 40%. The annual premium is 40% of your monthly rent or mortgage. So let's say if a person has a $1,500 rent or mortgage, that means their monthly, their annual premium for this product would be $600, or roughly $50 a month. So it's very affordable for the average person to make sure that if something happens to their income or their health or a loved one's health, so if one of their children goes to the hospital or whatever, they have the ability to be made whole and have normally their biggest expense taken care of for up to 3 months.
That is fantastic. And 3 months.
So we decided on 3 months simply because, again, the policy, academic in me, it's all data-based, research-based, reputable sources. So the average, to overcome one of those financial hurdles that I mentioned, takes the average person about 2 to 4 months. So we settled on 3 months.
No, 3 months, it intuitively makes sense, right? And hopefully you're collecting unemployment. Your first 3 months of rent being covered gives you a huge breathing room.
That's exactly what it is.
To focus on fixing the problem, to focus on finding the job, to focus on dealing with the medical stuff. I would bet that, and again, this is a complete guesstimate, but I would bet that, I don't know, 30% of foreclosures and evictions could be avoided if everybody had this.
More than that is my bet.
Right.
Further, you mentioned unemployment insurance, for example. That can also often take months and months and months to kick in. So there's a lot of red tape to get through. The federal systems and state systems are incredibly backlogged. So you may be evicted or foreclosed on well before that employment insurance kicks in, and you're able to get unemployment from the government or private entities.
Right.
Further, unemployment's about 60% of your income. And that's not livable for many people. So there's a lot of factors that come into play. So like other, commonly confused products in our space, for example, are things like landlord or rent guarantee insurance or mortgage insurance.
Protects
for any
the landlord,
of those.
not you.
You're right. So for any of those to kick in, you have to lose your home first. For residence insurance to kick in, you don't lose your home and they stay financially whole. So it protects both the lender and the landlord, as well as the homeowner or tenant.
So it sounds to me like a parametric product. Basically.
It's a win-win product. It really is really what best way of looking at it. The average person, whether it's obviously from the insurance company, our perspective, and or the client, the policyholder, is clearly a win-win, because the benefit of the payment when a claim is submitted, the payment goes directly to the landlord or the lender. So, if the person, is still in financial difficulty, at least we know that no matter what, their house is paid for. And this gives them that breathing room, like you mentioned, to whether it's get another job, get back on their feet, health-wise or whatever. So it's a great way to make sure they can insulate themselves financially to where their biggest expense is taken care of.
So, ow. Okay. So, according to LinkedIn, theoretically, you have been building this company for going on 4 years. However, it's a brand new type of product. So I'm sure you didn't write your first policy until.
Oh, we're pre-launch,
Oh, okay. So
to
it's
be
been
clear.
3 years of building. All right.
So
All right.
there's a story behind that 4 year
Perfect.
bit. So
Yep.
I graduated, and I immediately incorporated because I knew I wanted the name, I knew I wanted the product. I didn't know yet how I got there. Soon after Martin joined the team. Um, from there, I actually got really sick. My kidneys failed. And I spent 3.5 weeks in the hospital, 12 days in critical condition in the ICU, 16 days in the ICU total. I don't remember any of it. I was hallucinating and having seizures the whole time. And then that gave me epilepsy from the shock to my system, which was I went through 5 failed medications until I finally found one that worked for me. And basically, I don't remember anything of 2023. I had such brain damage. So then the following 6 months at the 6 months plus was healing time and becoming cognizant again. Like my nephew was born during this time. I called him the babe for the first 3 months of his life because I couldn't remember my nephew's name. Like just to put that in perspective. So there was about a 2 year period during that 4 year period where we had to pause. Today, for the record, we are full speed ahead. I'm good to go. Everything's on the up and up. Everything's healing. My brain, my kidneys, we're good. But there was a 2 year hiatus there for that.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Wow.
No, it's good. I'm
I
here. I'm still
cannot even
kicking.
imagine. Wow. Cannot even imagine. Glad you're here.
I too.
So where are we at when it comes to residents? So what is already in place, and what are you guys looking for? What are you hoping to find after coming on the podcast?
So I'd say about 95% of the puzzle pieces are in place, ready to go, ready to launch. The remaining the biggest puzzle piece that we need left is simply the fronting carrier, hybrid carrier, reinsure that bucket. We are an MGA, so we do need that backing. Um, so that's one of the reasons we wanted to come on to your podcast, aside from the fact that I just like your podcast and it just sounded cool. Um, but yeah, so that's the biggest puzzle piece we're still working out. We're
Okay,
in
so
talks with a few
Yeah.
different people, but nothing's been solidified yet. And that's what we need to as the final puzzle piece to launch.
all right. So fronting carriers, I've luckily have never had to go find paper. I remember from my co-founder who ran this podcast for the first 150 episodes. Uh, to launch Rethought Insurance, Nick Tamparelli, the hardest part was finding a fronting carrier. Uh, and chatted with several people over the years looking for a fronting carrier. Um, so I don't even know what to ask, but basically,
Well, here's what we can say.
yeah.
The benefit of we really just started looking for a fronting carrier just recently because we wanted to make sure that we had all of our ducks lined up in a row. And our prospectus is solid. The numbers are amazing. We will, once we launch, we should be profitable within a year.
That is crazy.
So the average insurance product, as you know, takes several years to become profitable. But through the marketing that we have set up in place, through the underwriting criteria, the third-party administrator claims situation, everything has been created. So now with the fronting carrier, once we find and solidify that particular relationship, now it's just plug and play because over the last couple of years, for sure, we've been kind of laser focused on all the different parts of this particular product, the launching of the product, this marketing of the product, everything. So now that we're actually speaking to fronting carriers, we're putting smiles on some faces. We haven't solidified any relationship yet. That's why we're still looking for the right relationship, right? Because that is key, the right relationship. But once fronting carriers actually take a look at our numbers, we know with the right partner, we will do very, very well, and they will do very, very well with this particular product.
So what type of fronting carrier? So like, what are the main things you guys are looking for when it comes to your fronting carrier?
Well, we want a national carrier for one, licenses in all states. We really want someone with a strong P&C background, because the challenge with our product, it's not a P&C product and it's not a life and health product. It's kind of a hybrid. So we still have to go to the Department of Insurance and decide, what category we're going to be kind of pigeonholed in, if you will. So we want a carrier that's been around for a while, a carrier that has experience working with our type of hybrid model, if you will. So it's an interesting question only because our product is brand new. So there's no model to fit us into. So we're kind of creating the vertical as we go. Even though we have everything to launch and scale, we still have to be put in a certain category to do that. And the fronting carrier would be the ideal entity to do that.
Yep. How are we going to be regulated, basically, in a heavily regulated industry where everything has to fit into a bucket?
Correct.
How are we going to be regulated is a
Correct.
particularly tricky question when you're truly innovating.
That's it.
And yes, the fronting carrier is a big part of answering that question successfully, and it's crucially important. All right. Reinsurance, is that already in place? Is that partially in place?
It's partially in place. We've already spoken with a couple, actually a large international company that is looking at doing our reinsurance. And also, once we get a foothold in America, we have the ability to go international, once we get profitable here in the US. So that was kind of a cart before the horse, but it just happened organically, where we happened to find an executive with one of the larger insurance companies in the world. And, they're looking at, okay, once you get a foothold in America, let us know, because we definitely want to introduce you to 200 plus countries, if you will. So that was a very exciting several conversations that we had. So.
All right. So kind of paint the picture, the vision. Where is residence, let's say 3 years on the road?
Making moves and changing lives.
Okay. What is this distribution like? Will this be sold direct to consumer? Will it be an add-on sold by independent agents?
We have several different verticals that we're looking at.
Okay.
Obviously, I've been in insurance for decades, and so we were obviously going after the insurance, aggregators and agents. But we also are looking at bundling it similar like a renter's insurance product, where it can be bundled when a person actually gets a new lease. Mortgage brokers. We've been talking to Freddie Mae, Fannie Mac. So we have several different verticals that we're looking at employers. So, but initially we're going after insurance agents and insurance brokers for the first, several months to a year, and then in conjunction with that, we have several large real estate holders that have millions of properties that they lease out, that are looking at us and bundling our product with their lease opportunities.
For mortgage brokers, for real estate agents, for large apartment complexes, it seems to me, and I don't know those industries the way that I know insurance, but it seems to me like a no-brainer, right?
Absolutely.
It seems to me like we should get to the point where it's like renter's insurance today, where
Correct.
right, it's basically mandatory, and it makes sense for everybody, and that also creates economies of scale, right? That like the product gets cheaper because
Mhm.
we now have economies of scale. Um, so it makes sense to me. Now, the insurance agent side, which since I'm closer to that side, my worry on that side is that it's such a low premium product. How do we incentivize agents to sell it?
Great question, actually, because we're going to do the selling for them. We're going to employ AI in a very unique way to where all the agents are doing is literally introducing us to the potential policyholder, whether it's a current policyholder in their existing book of business, if it's someone that's calling for an auto quote, renter's quote, whatever. All they'll be basically doing is saying, giving a few lines on the product, and we'll give them scripts for everything, but they're going to be essentially pushing people to our website, and we're in the process of developing it now, to where we'll have videos, we'll have different ancillary things where a person can take a minute, look at a video, answer a few questions, get a quote right away. We'll sell it, we'll manage it, we'll do everything for the agent. So really the benefit for the average agent, because I've been an agent for 25 years, the average agent, if they can find a way to sell a product where they're not using their staff resources and or their own resources to actually market it and sell it, and they can still get residuals and full commissions, is music to their ears. So we're going to be doing pretty much all of the selling for them, and we'll also help them market to their existing book of business as well through some workflows and things like that. So we can basically help agents bring on clients, and more importantly, cross sell their existing clients by not doing a whole lot.
It's like 30 seconds of their work, and it's all every link is AI and tech enabled, so we can track who brings in what business and track the commissions that way. But they have a 30-second elevator pitch and then they're done.
Yep.
And it is a product that is definitely a good, right? It's and talk about peace of mind, right? Like ultimately in insurance, it's everything we do is getting back on your feet and peace of mind. Talk about peace of mind when when if something goes horribly wrong, you're keeping me in my home for 3 more months while I figure it out.
That's it. That's it.
It's
Absolutely.
just gigantic.
It is, because if you think about just the average person, it's not like we live in the 40s, 50s, 60s, where a person can get a job and hang on to that job until they retire, right? That typically doesn't happen anymore. So the average person, because of whether it's downsizing or companies just laying off because they want to retool and go a different direction, they don't need this particular um, job title anymore, or the person works for a startup and they're laying off, or whatever the case may be. If it's something outside of that person's control,
Mm-hmm.
job wise, at least they know they have a safety net. And that's really what we're helping provide, is a safety net. So their whole life doesn't crumble around them, because the the mental stress that you will have once you're about to lose your home, the average person doesn't want to go through that. So if the average person, like Maggie mentioned, when we did our research, if the average person had 3 months of revenue coming in to where that one bill is taken care of, all they have to worry about really is food. Right?
It's
I mean, sure, you might miss your car payment, you miss some other things, but the
no,
house,
number one,
like,
it's your biggest bill.
it really is.
Number two, it's your most stressful bill.
Yes.
So what a combination of, like, yeah, what a combination. My I lose my job, and my biggest bill also controls my access to shelter. It is a big deal. And
Good deal.
I in the insurance world, the people that I tend to hang out with, we're white collar. We tend to come from white collar families. We have family safety nets. that we might not want to utilize, right? Like taking money from mom and dad, or like landing on their couch for a few months. Not the
Right.
funnest thing in the world, but we have that option
Right.
in this country where the average American would have trouble coming up with $400 for an emergency without putting it on a credit card. Not everybody has that safety, that family safety net.
Well,
Uh,
further, one thing we don't look at in their underwriting is what assets and savings they already have. So let's say you are one of those incredibly privileged, financially savvy people who have 3 months runway already saved in the bank. Irrelevant to us. You pay the premium, we have a responsibility to you. So you can just keep that money in the bank.
I love how you're underwriting it, because one of my worries when you explained the product was that you were underwriting it against credit, and basically creating a product that's only good for those of us who already have it good, right?
Exactly.
So yes, I love the fact that you're not underwriting it against credit. Um,
So
it is
there's other along those lines, like I've spoken to individuals at the US Department of Housing and Urban Development, and they are interested in continuing the conversation about having the federal government either subsidize and or reinsure residence insurance for everyone who is uh, in the under the poverty level.
it would just make so much sense. Homelessness,
It would save
it,
over $600 billion a year for the
homelessness,
federal government.
even in the short term, is extremely expensive for
Mhm.
Incredibly for everyone involved.
everyone involved.
And then the second you have an eviction or a foreclosure on your record, good luck getting another house. And you're already, aside from the fact that the federal government can only afford to provide housing for 1/4 of the population that's eligible. If you have an eviction on on your record, you are no longer eligible.
Right.
And it is so expensive for everyone involved. It is expensive to evict someone, it is expensive to foreclose someone, it is expensive to be evicted or be foreclosed on. It is expensive for all government entities. The federal government spends over $46.6 billion a year in increased social services for the evicted and foreclosed on population per year. That can all be circumvented with residence insurance.
What a great example of an innovative use of private market insurance. Uh, how do we know we're getting really kind of like tangential metaphysical at this point? Uh, Maggie, how do we encourage another 10,000 Maggies to create things like this that improve the world?
Oh goodness, what a question.
That's a good
That's your homework.
Yeah. I've always been a firm believer, like whether you like it or not, we live in a capitalist society. And I think we can use capitalist methodology to more effectively and efficiently solve social problems than we can use, government resources, which are often dependent on the whims of whomever is in office, or nonprofit resources which are dependent on the, ability of donors as well as, how they feel about that issue. So why not use capitalism to solve social problems rather than cause more social problems? So that's kind of my MO. That's what I have always been after, just solving problems using capitalist methodology.
Right.
I try not to say it on camera in the current environment, but I've said it before many times. I'm a Bernie bro. Right, and I originally from Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, funnily enough, I vote libertarian, which is weird, but Costa Rica is very left leaning. And basically, so like, to my dad, who was born in 1958 and is very much a boomer in every possible way. It's a very fun boomer. Uh, who it idealizes the U.S. of Ronald Reagan, which is where he spent the most time here in the U.S., even though he lives in Costa Rica. Uh, to my dad, I'm a pink cookie bastard in his own words. We get along really well.
Oh,
But in his own words, uh, to me, I'm a social democrat. Right? I just have lived 23 years of my life in the richest country in the world, and I love it here. But it makes me very sad when I look out the window and I see the 17 million people without health insurance, or people with severe housing insecurity or food insecurity, etc. Uh, we did a really great episode during COVID with Matthew Strzok and another guy, which was called "The World We Could Build After COVID." Not the world we will build, the world we could build after COVID. We talked a lot of politics. Um, I I personally, I'm a fan of the Norwegian model, right? Denmark, Finland, Sweden, and I always forget one. Uh,
Norway.
Thank you, Norway. Other than the weather, which sucks. Uh, but basically, they are they are capitalists countries with incredible safety nets.
okay.
And those safety nets are hard or impossible to build here on the public side of this right now in the post-Reagan era, and even worse today.
But they're also quite innovative.
Right.
They're
Well, I was
quite
going to mention
innovative.
when
And like
you,
that's what I'd say to answer your earlier question, how do you build more, I guess, thinkers the way I think? I think it's most aptly summed up in this quote by Walt Disney, I guess, which is first think, second believe, third dream, and finally dare. Be open-minded, be innovative. Well, if this works here, how can we adapt it to work here?
I absolutely love that.
right.
I don't think that we can do better than that to close. So that was a heck of a mic drop moment. I look forward to have you guys back on the show. Let's say in a year when you've launched and have some amazing stories of the lives that you have changed.
Sure.
But what a pleasure, truly. I record, I don't know, 5 to 7 times a week, sometimes more. And I love insurance. I love Insurtech. Not every episode is inspiring. I love the ones that are truly changing the world.
Well,
Well,
thank
thank
you.
Thank
you.
you.
We're glad we're in that category. Thank you very
Awesome. And the fronting carriers listening, come on. They think they'll be they think is a better way to put it. They are confident they'll
very,
be profitable in a year.
very.
My God, you
Reach out and see our forecasts.
yes. So fronting carriers should be fighting over you guys. There should be a bidding war over you guys. And
We
I can't
appreciate it.
wait to see it hit the market. Thank you very much for your time today.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Tony.